The women who walked home. The boy who hunted them. Frankston. Winter of 1993. A coastal suburb south of Melbourne. Salt in the air. Pine trees. Streetlights that flicker like they're tired of watching. 3 women vanish in 7 weeks. Not strangers passing through. Locals. A teenager walking home from the bus. A mother on her way to TAFE. A girl who just wanted a quiet night. The bodies turn up in scrubland, in creeks, in places nobody should ever be found. The papers call him a monster. The cops call him a phantom. The town calls him every name fear can invent. But the truth was uglier than monster. The truth had a face. A flat, doughy face. And it lived 3 streets over. This is the story of how a suburb learned the worst lesson a suburb can learn. Evil doesn't always come from somewhere else. Sometimes it grew up next door, mowed the lawn, waved hello, and waited. Act 1. The Stain. A body in the grass. A town wakes up bleeding. June 11th, 1993. Elizabeth Stevens, 18 years old. She'd gone to the shops, just the shops. A library book, a walk back through Lloyd Park. They find her the next morning, sprawled in the wet grass, her throat opened, her chest carved with shapes that didn't mean anything to anyone but him. The cops don't say the word, not yet. They say, isolated incident. They say, lone tragedy. They tell the girls of Frankston to be careful, and they go home and lock their own doors a little tighter. Then July 8th happens. Roja Toth, 39, walking to the train station in the dark. A man jumps her, tries to drag her into the bush behind the railway line. She screams, she fights. She bites his hand down to the bone. She lives. She gives a description. Big, soft, young, dead-eyed. Drives a beat-up Toyota. The cops scribble it down and file it. Just another assault. 40 minutes later, same suburb. Debbie Freem, 22, new mother. 12 days old, her baby. She walks out to grab a carton of milk and never walks back. Her car is gone. Her body is gone. Her baby is in a bassinet on the other side of town, waiting for a feed that isn't coming. They find her 4 days later, in a paddock. 8 stab wounds. Her car dumped a kilometer away, wiped clean of nothing. Because the killer hadn't bothered to wipe anything. He didn't think he'd get caught. Now the cops say the word. Now the papers scream it. Serial. A serial killer in Frankston. The whole peninsula goes quiet at sundown. Schools cancel after hours. Mothers walk daughters to letterboxes. Men in their 20s get long looks at the bus stop. 3 women, 28 days, 1 killer. And he wasn't done. Act 2. The Shadows. A task force drowning. A town locking its doors. Operation Roman. That's what they called the task force. 60 detectives, round-the-clock shifts. A war room papered with maps and faces. And nothing. For weeks, nothing. Of course, every weirdo in the southeast suburbs got a knock on the door. The peeper from Coringal, the flasher from Seaford, the ex-boyfriends, the petty crims, the men with priors and bad reputations. Alibis, all of them, solid as concrete. The pressure cooks. The premier gets calls. The commissioner gets calls. Every editor in Melbourne is running the same headline. When will he strike again? He strikes again on July 30th. Natalie Russell, 17, walking home from school through a bike track behind John Paul College. The track runs beside a golf course. Pines on one side, a wire fence on the other. The kind of shortcut every kid in Frankston knew by heart. She never makes it out the other end. They find her in the scrub, her throat cut. Defensive wounds on her hands. She fought him. She fought him hard. And this time the killer made a mistake. A piece of skin, torn from his finger in the struggle, left in the dirt beside her. And a car, a yellow Toyota, seen parked at the entrance to the track that afternoon. A constable on a routine patrol had even written the registration down. Just routine, just a number in a notebook. The number came back to a name: Paul Charles Denyer, 21, lived with his girlfriend in a unit on Frankston North, worked odd jobs, no serious priors. A nobody, a neighbor, the kind of bloke you wouldn't look at twice in a queue. They drive out to interview him. Standard procedure. Just another name to cross off. He opens the door. Big, soft. 21 going on 14. And there, right there on his hand, a fresh wound, a flap of skin missing from his finger. He smiles at the detectives. Says he cut it fixing his car. The detectives don't smile back. Because the phantom of Frankston, the monster the whole state had been hunting, had just answered his own front door, in a t-shirt, holding the evidence in his hand. Act 3. The deviant. The hunter behind the doughy face. They take him in, they sit him down, they start asking questions, and Paul Denyer starts talking. He talks for hours, calm, almost relieved. Like a man who'd been waiting his whole life for someone to finally ask. I just wanted to kill, he tells them. Flat voice, bored voice. I have a hatred for women. The detective asks why. Denyer thinks about it, shrugs. I don't know, general. Not any particular one, just women. Then they search his house. And the picture gets worse. Notebooks, pages of them. Maps of Frankston with red marks where women lived alone. Lists of names, lists of cars, times, routines. Which house had a dog? Which path had no streetlight? Which woman walked to the station at what hour? He'd been hunting them for months, sitting in his Toyota in the dark, watching, writing it all down like a kid doing homework. In the unit, a cat, dead, throat cut, months earlier. Practice. In the bedroom, knives, hunting knives, a homemade leather sheath strapped under his car seat, gloves, a balaclava, and photographs. Not of the victims, of his own girlfriend, sleeping, unaware. He told the cops in the same flat voice that he'd thought about killing her too, just hadn't decided when. She'd been living with him through all of it, cooking him dinner, sharing a bed, while he came home with blood on his clothes and washed them in her machine. The psychologists came next, sat across from him, tried to find the wound, the trauma, the broken thing that built this. There wasn't one, not really. Difficult childhood, sure. Cruelty to animals, sure. The standard checklist. But nothing that explained it. Nothing that justified the math. 3 dead women and a 4th he nearly killed. He just liked it. That was the answer. He liked the hunting. He liked the power. He liked watching the fear in their eyes when they realized what was about to happen. The cops would later learn Denyer had been stalking and attacking women in Frankston for over a year before Elizabeth Stevens. He just hadn't killed one yet, and
and nobody had connected the dots. A year. A whole year. He'd been rehearsing, and the suburb never knew its monster was already inside the gates. Act 4. The trap. The skin in the dirt, the mask coming off. The forensics close in fast now. The skin flap from the bike track matched to Denyer's torn finger. The blood on his shoe matched to Natalie Russell. Fibers from his car matched to Debbie Freem's clothes. Hair, boot prints. A trail of evidence so thick the prosecutor said it was the strongest case he'd ever put together. But they don't need the science, because Denyer keeps talking. He walks them through it, all of it, step by step, like a tour guide. Elizabeth Stevens. He pulled up beside her in Lloyd Park, showed her a knife, walked her into the dark. The things he did to her body afterwards, the things he carved, he describes those too, without flinching. Debbie Freem. He was hiding in her car when she came out of the milk bar, sat in the back seat, waited, made her drive to a paddock. She begged. She told him about the baby, 12 days old. He stabbed her anyway. Natalie Russell. He'd been waiting at the bike track for an hour, watching schoolgirls walk past, choosing. 8 stab wounds! He counted them out loud in the interview room. The detectives, hardened men who'd seen everything, said later they had to leave the room just to breathe. December 1993. Court. Denyer pleads guilty. All 3 murders. The attempted murder of Rosha Toth. And then he tries to play games. Tells the judge he didn't really hate women. Tells the psychiatrist he wants to be called Paula. Files for gender reassignment from his cell. The court isn't fooled. The judge looks down from the bench at this soft, doughy, dead-eyed boy and uses words rarely heard in an Australian courtroom. I see no minimum term. You should never be released. 3 life sentences. No parole. Mask off. The Phantom of Frankston was a 21-year-old who lived with his girlfriend, drove a Toyota, and kept his hunting knives under the seat. And the worst part, the part nobody wanted to say out loud, was how ordinary he looked walking out of that courtroom in chains. Act 5. The Void. 3 graves, a suburb that never sleeps the same. Elizabeth Stevens, 18, wanted to be a journalist. Debbie Freem, 22. Her son grew up without her. He learned her face from photographs. Natalie Russell, 17, 3 weeks from finishing high school. 3 women, 3 futures, erased by a boy who said he was bored. The families spoke at the sentencing. Mothers who'd buried daughters, a husband holding a baby who'd never know its mother's voice. They didn't ask for revenge. They asked for one thing, that he never, ever walk free. In 2004, he applied for parole, denied. In 2014, he applied again. The parole board called him still dangerous, still fixated, still the same hollow thing that walked into Lloyd Park in 1993. He sits in Barwon prison now, reading, writing letters, asking every few years to be let out. The bike track behind John Paul College is still there. Kids still walk it. There's a small plaque now, easy to miss if you don't know to look. Frankston changed after that winter, the way a body changes after a deep wound. The skin closes, but underneath, the tissue is never quite the same. Parents started driving daughters everywhere. Streetlights got installed where there'd been shadows. The peninsula learned a lesson it didn't want and can't forget.
that evil isn't always loud, isn't always foreign, isn't always the stranger in the trench coat. Sometimes it's the quiet bloke at the end of the street, the one who waves, the one who mows his lawn on Sundays, the one whose girlfriend never noticed the blood. Epilogue. What the dirt keeps. What the suburb learned. 7 weeks, 3 women, 1 boy with a knife and a notebook. That's all it took to teach a coastal suburb that the monsters in the headlines have addresses, phone numbers, girlfriends, mothers who loved them and couldn't see what they were becoming. Paul Denyer is still alive, still in his cell, still asking every few years for a door that should never open. The women he killed are still 18, still 22, still 17. Frozen forever in the winter of '93, in school photos and wedding photos, and a baby photo a husband still keeps by the bed. Frankston remembers, quietly, the way a town remembers a wound. They walked home. He was waiting. And the dirt keeps what the dirt keeps.